Emily Harper stood at the threshold of her new home, a grand Victorian house that seemed to have withstood the test of time. Its ornate facade hinted at the stories etched into its weathered walls. A chill ran down Emily's spine as she took in the looming structure, its charm battling an undercurrent of something indefinably eerie. The creak of the front door echoed through the empty halls as Emily entered, carrying a box of her belongings. Dust motes danced in the filtered sunlight, creating an ethereal ambience that both fascinated and unsettled her. The air was thick with a palpable tension, as if the house itself held its breath, waiting for her to uncover the secrets buried within its time-worn foundation. The living room, adorned with antique furniture draped in dusty sheets, greeted Emily. She set the box down, and a sense of solitude enveloped her. The vast space seemed to echo with the whispers of a bygone era, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes observed her every move. As evening descended, Emily explored the house, her steps echoing in the empty corridors. The wallpaper, faded with age, told tales of a time when laughter echoed through these walls. She ascended a grand staircase, its wooden banister worn smooth by countless hands that had gripped it over the years. In her bedroom, Emily gazed out of a tall, arched window. The moon cast a soft glow, revealing the silhouette of the town below. A feeling of both anticipation and trepidation washed over her. The house, though silent, seemed to harbor a dormant energy, waiting for the right moment to stir. The night was restless, and as Emily lay in bed, the settling of the house created a symphony of creaks and groans. Sleep eluded her, and an unseen force seemed to whisper through the shadows. Emily dismissed it as her imagination, chalking it up to the unfamiliarity of her new surroundings. However, as the minutes passed, the room took on a life of its own. Objects shifted on the dresser, the curtains rustled without a breeze, and an inexplicable heaviness settled upon the bed. Emily's breath caught in her throat as a realization dawned: she was not alone. A soft murmur, distant yet unmistakable, reached her ears. Whispers, as if carried by the very air, echoed through the room. Emily strained to decipher the words, but they remained just beyond the realm of comprehension. The unseen couple, bound by tragedy, began to make their presence known. In the silence of the night, the spectral arguments spilled into Emily's reality, intertwining the past with her unsettling present. Little did she know that this would mark the beginning of a haunting journey into the depths of the house's history and the spirits that refused to rest. The following morning bathed the Victorian house in a soft, diffused light. Emily awoke with the unsettling whispers of the night still lingering in her ears. Determined to dispel the sense of unease, she descended the creaking staircase, each step carrying her deeper into the mysteries concealed within the old walls. In the living room, the antique furniture seemed to watch her with silent scrutiny. Emily's gaze was drawn to the box she had left untouched the previous night. Inside, the dusty diary beckoned, its pages holding the untold story of James and Isabella. As Emily began to read Isabella's words, a palpable energy filled the room. The tale unfolded in the delicate strokes of ink on yellowed pages, revealing a love that soared to celestial heights before plummeting into the abyss of tragedy. The couple's passion was as haunting as the ghostly whispers that had permeated the house. Compelled by a mix of empathy and fascination, Emily became an unwitting witness to the arguments that had torn James and Isabella apart. The words on the pages painted vivid images of their heated exchanges, the echoes of which still reverberated through the Victorian corridors. Determined to separate fact from fiction, Emily set out to investigate the local history. The town, nestled at the fringes of the house, held secrets guarded by its aging residents. Their eyes betrayed a reluctance to delve into the haunted past, but Emily's persistence began to chip away at the walls of silence. Old Mr. Lawson, the town's unofficial historian, proved to be a reluctant storyteller. Over cups of bitter coffee, he spoke in hushed tones of a tragedy that had cast a perpetual shadow over the Victorian house. James and Isabella, once vibrant figures in the town's history, were now whispered about as the specters of love gone awry. Armed with newfound information, Emily retraced the steps of the ill-fated couple. She visited the local archives, handling fragile documents that bore witness to the town's history. Through faded newspaper clippings and weathered photographs, she pieced together a narrative that mirrored the one she had discovered in Isabella's diary. Yet, as she dug deeper, the town seemed to close ranks. Conversations hushed when she entered a room, and wary glances followed her every move. The secrets held within the community's collective memory were guarded with an almost protective fervor. The house, sensing Emily's quest for truth, responded with heightened activity. Objects moved with purpose, and the spectral arguments grew louder, as if pleading to be acknowledged. Emily found herself at the epicenter of a collision between the living and the dead, both vying for resolution. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the Victorian windows, Emily pondered the implications of her discoveries. The veil between past and present had been lifted, revealing a tangled web of emotions that refused to fade with time. The town, the house, and the ghostly couple stood as witnesses to a tragedy that begged for closure. Little did Emily know that her journey had only just begun, and the haunted echoes of the past were set to weave a more intricate tapestry of spectral entanglement. The town, bathed in the golden hues of early evening, cast long shadows that stretched toward the Victorian house. Emily, fueled by a desire to communicate with the spectral couple, delved into the attic's secrets, uncovering an antique Ouija board and an ancient book concealed beneath dusty sheets. As dusk settled, Emily placed the Ouija board on an antique table in the dimly lit attic. She lit a solitary candle, its flickering flame casting dancing shadows on the walls. The air in the room felt charged with anticipation as Emily hesitated before placing her fingertips on the worn planchette. The house seemed to hold its breath, and as Emily initiated the ritual, the atmosphere shifted. The planchette glided across the board with an otherworldly grace, spelling out words that echoed the ghostly whispers she had heard during the night. "Help us," it spelled, and the room trembled with an unseen energy. The temperature dropped, and the shadows deepened as Emily felt a presence enveloping her. Unbeknownst to her, the ghostly couple stirred from their spectral slumber, their energy intertwining with the living realm. The whispered arguments, once confined to the pages of Isabella's diary, spilled into the attic, as if the very air had become a conduit between past and present. Fascination intertwined with trepidation as Emily addressed the spirits through the Ouija board. Questions were met with cryptic responses, revealing fragments of the tragic tale that had bound James and Isabella to the Victorian house. The planchette moved with purpose, spelling out names, dates, and emotions that echoed the tumultuous events of the past. Yet, the ritual took an unforeseen turn. The spectral energy, rather than dissipating, intensified. The candle flame flickered wildly, casting grotesque shadows on the walls. Emily felt a sudden chill, and the room echoed with a mournful wail that seemed to emanate from the very core of the house. The ghostly couple, once confined to the shadows, became a tangible force in the attic. Emily's breath caught as she felt an unseen hand brush against her skin, and the whispers took on a more urgent tone. Unsettling visions played before her eyes, vivid images of a violent argument, shattered emotions, and a love that had soured into bitterness. Fear mingled with empathy as Emily realized that the ritual had not set the spirits free but had bound them to the living realm with an unforeseen malevolence. The once invisible entities now possessed a tangible force that transcended the confines of the Ouija board, permeating the very air with an unsettling energy. The attic, now charged with a spectral presence, seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Emily, feeling a weight on her shoulders, questioned the consequences of her actions. The ghosts, once tormented and confined, were now entwined with her essence, and the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred in a dance of shadows and whispers. As the ritual reached its unintended climax, the attic's atmosphere became oppressive. The air crackled with an unseen tension, and the room seemed to pulse with a haunting rhythm. Emily, caught in the midst of a spectral entanglement, realized that the quest for communication had led to a fusion of realms, forever altering the balance between the living and the dead. The chapter closed with the haunted echoes of the attic, and the house stood as a silent witness to the repercussions of meddling with forces beyond understanding. The attic, once a dormant repository of forgotten relics, now pulsed with an otherworldly energy. The scent of old books mingled with the lingering traces of the ritual, creating an atmosphere that seemed to transcend the boundaries of time. Emily, her fingertips still trembling from the Ouija board, felt an invisible force wrap around her, binding her destiny with the spectral couple. The air in the attic thickened, and the shadows deepened as James and Isabella, their spectral forms now tangible, materialized before Emily's wide eyes. The once faded outlines of the ghostly couple became more defined, their features etched with an unsettling blend of despair and resentment. The room, once silent, now resonated with the whispers of the haunted past. Emily, caught between fascination and fear, stood at the epicenter of a collision between the living and the dead. The ghostly couple, their presence intensified by the unintended consequences of the ritual, hovered before her like ethereal apparitions. The attic seemed to echo with their unresolved emotions, a cacophony of arguments and whispered regrets that reverberated through the very fabric of the house. In a hushed symphony of spectral murmurs, James and Isabella revealed the unintended malevolence that now bound them to the living realm. Their voices, once echoes confined to the pages of Isabella's diary, carried a tangible weight, as if the air itself bore witness to the tragic events that had unfolded decades ago. As Emily attempted to comprehend the magnitude of her actions, the room flickered with a ghostly glow. The boundaries between the spectral and the corporeal blurred, creating an unsettling fusion of realms. The once unseen hands of the ghostly couple reached out to Emily, their touch sending shivers down her spine. In the unsettling silence, James spoke with a voice that seemed to echo from a realm beyond. "You have awakened us, yet we are neither living nor dead. Trapped in this spectral entanglement, our fate is now eternally linked with yours," he intoned, the words carrying the weight of a century-old curse. Isabella, her eyes filled with a mournful longing, added, "We sought redemption, but your ritual has bound us to a malevolent force. Our love, once the source of our joy, has become a chain that shackles us to this realm." Emily, the gravity of the situation settling upon her, felt a profound sense of responsibility. The once charming attic had become a battleground between the living and the haunted, and she stood at the forefront of a spectral convergence that defied the laws of existence. As the ghostly couple's spectral forms merged with Emily's essence, the room seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. The candle flame flickered violently, casting dancing shadows on the walls that seemed to echo the tumultuous emotions now shared between the living and the dead. The attic, now a vortex of supernatural forces, bore witness to a fusion of realms that transcended the understanding of both the living and the spectral entities. The chapter closed with the spectral entanglement complete, leaving the once dormant attic charged with an energy that heralded the beginning of an uncharted journey into the shadows of the past. The Victorian house, now a silent witness to the unforeseen consequences of the ritual, stood as a sentinel over a haunted legacy that refused to fade with time. As the spectral convergence reached its zenith, the attic fell into a profound silence. The once flickering candle steadied, casting a subdued glow on Emily and the ghostly couple. The air, charged with an unseen force, seemed to hum with an otherworldly resonance, marking the birth of a haunting union between the living and the dead. Emily, her senses heightened, felt a weight upon her shoulders as if the very essence of James and Isabella now intertwined with her own. The once unseen hands that reached out to her during the ritual had become a palpable presence, a reminder of the irreversible fusion that had occurred in the attic. The ghostly couple, their spectral forms now interwoven with Emily's, moved with an ethereal grace. They hovered through the attic, their movements echoing the unresolved emotions that bound them together. Whispered arguments, once confined to the pages of a diary, now spilled into the air, creating a haunting symphony that reverberated through the haunted dwelling. Objects in the attic responded to the unseen energy, moving with purpose as if choreographed by an invisible force. The room became a canvas upon which the entangled spirits painted a spectral dance, a dance that transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. As the night deepened, the haunting extended beyond the confines of the attic. The Victorian house, once a silent witness to the unfolding drama, seemed to come alive with a malevolent energy. Shadows played upon the walls, taking on shapes that mirrored the spectral trio's intertwined forms. The once quiet corridors echoed with spectral whispers and the distant echoes of ghostly arguments. Downstairs, in the living room, Emily's antique furniture took on a life of its own. Chairs shifted, their movements synchronized with the ethereal dance unfolding above. The air became charged with a haunting energy that clung to the very fabric of the Victorian house. Emily, caught in the midst of this spectral entanglement, moved through the house with a sense of both fascination and trepidation. The once charming dwelling had transformed into a nightmarish realm where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred into a disconcerting dance of shadows and echoes. Sleep became a distant memory for Emily as the spectral trio continued their nocturnal symphony. Whispers echoed through the halls, creating an atmosphere of perpetual unrest. The once inviting bedroom now bore the weight of spectral arguments, as if the very walls had become a conduit for the unresolved emotions that plagued the entangled spirits. Haunted dreams, a fusion of memories and spectral visions, plagued Emily's nights. She found herself reliving the tragic events of James and Isabella's past, as if their memories had become an indelible part of her own. The spectral couple's voices echoed in her mind, their words weaving into her subconscious like an insidious lullaby. The town, still oblivious to the spectral convergence within the Victorian house, remained shrouded in an eerie silence. The locals, perhaps sensing the mounting malevolence, avoided the vicinity of the haunted dwelling. The once tight-knit community now stood at the periphery of an unfolding supernatural drama. As the haunting of the living continued, Emily found herself at the heart of a spectral maelstrom that defied comprehension. The Victorian house, now a realm where the echoes of the past converged with the unsettling present, stood as a testament to the unintended consequences of Emily's quest for communication. The chapter closed with the house enveloped in a spectral embrace and the haunted legacy of James, Isabella, and Emily set to eternally linger within its time-worn walls.